Okay guys, so starting off with, I'm roughly chopping up my onions. I have removed the dry outer skin and I'm keeping the root on my onion so that it doesn't release so much gas so that it makes me cry. I'm chopping some horizontal lines in, and then I fold over my fingers so that I use the knuckle technique. So I'm not going to slice in to my fingers here. Definitely use a knife that you are comfortable using. I'm quite comfortable using this nice sharp knife. I'm using one brown onion, one red onion because it's what I had, but it doesn't really matter as long as you have enough onion depending on how much you're going to make. So chop it up, get it ready to put into that pan. Once you've finished chopping up, make sure you put all your scraps into your compost bin. They're really good for the soil. In it goes. So into my pot, I'm putting some oil. On a low temperature, I'll add my onions and let them simmer so that they soften, not fry. So I chopped up or cubed my sweet potato and I just put a little bit of olive oil on, or any oil that you want to use. I've set my oven for quite hot. It's about 200 degrees. And if you're using gas, it's probably around gas mark 6. And I'm going to pop it in the oven and just let it really bake so it gets like a texture on the outside and it's really sweet and fluffy on the inside. And then I'm going to add that to my mix once it's all golden and delicious. So back to my big pot, and I'm taking a teaspoon and a half of some lazy garlic. Add that in and give it a mix. I'm keeping the temperature low so that I can keep the onions from frying. I want them to soften and get sweet. So while that's softening, I'm now going to take my beans out of my tins. I'm using 4-bean mix, and I'm going to give them a little bit of a rinse because they are in salt water. So empty them all into the strainer, making sure you get all the beans out of the can, and then give them a rinse with some fresh cool water, and then just let them sit there and drain while you go back to your big pot and check on your onions. So my onions have reduced in size by half, and they're nice and soft and yellow and golden. Next I'm going to add my diced tomatoes, 2 cans, still on that low heat. Add in can at a time. Be really careful, I've got a really deep pot so I have to put my hand in quite low, otherwise it spits at me, but don't burn yourself. Make sure you stir it so that nothing's getting stuck to the bottom and everything's combining well together. Next up, I'm adding in my white vinegar. I'm going to take a tablespoon and add 3 tablespoons of white vinegar. Don't use brown because it will be quite, it has quite a unique flavour, whereas white tends to not overcomplicate it. So yeah, white vinegar is better. Make sure you stir it in. Stir it really well. Good, next up I'm taking my sugar. I'm using raw sugar, which is slightly caramel in colour. You can use whatever sugar you want. I'm putting in 1 tablespoon, maybe a tiny smidge more because I'm making quite a lot, into my pot. I'm taking my ground cumin next with a tablespoon, and I'm adding 3 level tablespoons of cumin, which seems like a lot, but cumin is pretty delicate flavour, and when I add in this other spices it might get a little bit lost. Make sure you stir each time you add in your spices. You want everything to combine really, really well. Now here is the part where you can start to tailor this to how you like it. I definitely don't like anything too strong or hot. So I'm taking sweet Hungarian paprika next, which is sweeter rather than being really spicy. And I'm doing 2 teaspoons of sweet paprika and giving it a stir. I like it quite medium. I don't like really hot or spicy. Next, I'm going to add in some smoky paprika, which is a slightly different flavor. I'm only going to add in 1 teaspoon. I know it looks like 2, but it was only 1, I promise you. You can add in a bit more of this if you like, because it tends to be a little bit more of a different flavor. But whatever you add in, you want to take some out of the other spices. Now, chili and cayenne pepper are also something that you can add. I'm not too certain if I like spicy food, so I'm just adding a little 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne pepper, and I'm keeping it quite medium. Give it a good mix. Next, add your beans that have been drained. So I'm adding in my beans. You can add a little bit less if you like your chili a little bit more liquidy rather than thick. I like mine thick. Once you've stirred it all together, you're going to put it, you're going to put the lid on the pot and keep it on a low heat, simmering for at least 20 to 25 minutes. So here's what it looks like when it is ready to simmer. It looks a little bit liquidy at the moment, but it will thicken up. So keep it on that low to medium heat. Make sure you put your lid on to keep the heat in, to keep it from thickening, so it can thicken up. And you're all done. So once you take your sweet potato out of the oven, it should be pretty golden like this, and you can add it into your simmered chili mix, which after you've simmered it on a low heat for about 25 minutes or so, it should be nice and thick. You can add that in next. So guys, you can serve my veggie chili with some rice or quinoa if you'd like, or you can serve it on shredded lettuce that I've got here, but my favorite way to serve it is on corn chips. So I put a handful of salted corn chips, but you can use any that you want. You could use Doritos, you know, you could use cool or hot flavored or cheese, whatever you want. And you pop some on the bottom, and then you put a scoop of my chili on, and then a couple broken up on the top. And if you want, you can shred some cheese over the top. It can be vegan cheese if you want to, and then you place it into the oven under your grill, and you basically get loaded nachos. It is so good. I would recommend probably not a cheddar, but use something that's a little bit softer in flavor and a little bit sweeter, like manchego cheese or mozzarella. Just so nice. So this is how I usually eat it, but you could put it into soft tortilla wraps, wrap them up, put some salsa and cheese on top and grill them, and you can make enchiladas. You know, this is so versatile. If you have it with the rice or the quinoa, it's really filling because you've got carbohydrate and you've got your protein in the beans, and you've also got a really strong carbohydrate, a low GI carbohydrate in your sweet potato. So there you go, there's my easy vegan recipe. If you want to add things on top, you can add some natural yogurt, and that could be coconut, non-dairy based if you're vegan. It could be sour cream. You could have homemade guacamole. You could squeeze a lime over the top. That would be delicious too. You don't really need to add any salt because the beans were salted. But yeah, have a go at my recipe and see if you like it.